Hello everybody, this is David Thomas. I'm here today with Paul Engel with another edition of We the People. Paul, it's good to have you back with us.
Good to see you.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
A lot of things have happened in the last
Yes, there have.
few weeks. And one thing that we've noticed with the events taking place over the last 4 to 5 weeks is we've seen a drastic reduction in our freedom of speech.
Yes, we have.
And I know you have talked about this. What's your take on where we are today as a nation?
I'm old enough to remember. There's a saying that says, I may despise what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. I'm sad to say that's gone in America. That idea is so rare as to be unheard of in America. In fact, today you're more likely to hear, I'm offended by what you say, so shut up.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not just people think of the First Amendment and the freedom. It's not simply the First Amendment. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects you from the federal government infringing on your right to speak freely. Your state constitutions protect you from the state encroaching on your right to speak freely. But the problem we have is what do we do as people? We're not simply talking about, I was canceled, I was disabled, thrown off of, ceremoniously discharged from Facebook, starting back in November. November 3rd, they said, no, you're not going to post for 30 days. December 3rd, they said, no, you're gone. And in fact, it's so bad, I even tried to set up a temporary account because I was teaching on a live stream on someone else's account, and I just wanted to read the comments. Facebook disabled my account before they even verified the address.
So why would a company like Facebook, a social media company that promotes people gathering and sharing ideas, why would they want to get rid of you just because you're talking about constitutional issues?
Well, they claim to promote discussion. What's happened is twofold. Part of it is some guy committed suicide live on Facebook. And the American people went to their federal government and said, you've got to do something. So the federal government told Facebook, don't do this no more. And Facebook said, yeah, but if we start pulling off content, we're going to get sued. So the federal government wrote a law. It's called Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And the law itself isn't bad. It isn't in all bad. The problem, as often happens, is the details. And this is the part a lot of people miss. The idea is, if a company like Facebook pulls a post down, and they list for several different reasons, and if it's illegal, actually I don't even think they list illegal, but if it's immoral, and they have a whole list, if it's incitement to riot, there's a whole bunch of things. And then at the very end they say, or any other reason they think would be good.
Right.
So in other words, the federal government said, listen, if we're going to interfere with the contract or the license people have with Facebook and say you can't sue them. Now there are people that want to get rid of 230. I don't want to get rid of 230. I want 230 drastically simplified. I want public organizations to be able to pull down posts that are illegal without facing a lawsuit. So if you commit suicide, it's against the law in all 50 states to commit suicide, that would be an illegal post. They could take it down. You couldn't sue them over it. If you were inciting riot, if you were coordinating a violent demonstration or some act of terrorism, then those are all illegal. Pull them down. But just because it's a disagreement, now they've violated the license agreement I had with them that says, listen, I will give you my content, you will share it with others. We have an agreement. Now, no money changes hands unless I purchase advertising. But even when I purchased advertising, was my content being distributed the way we had agreed? I have no way of knowing.
I can answer that no.
Oh, I'm sure it wasn't. Which is why I stopped advertising on Facebook before they booted me off. But to me, the more serious problem is, and the reason that happened, the reason first the small censures and then the large censures, and then what happened between January 6th and now, the reason why that happened is because all the times in the past when Facebook censored people, when colleges and universities censored people, when they set up free speech zones, when they disinvited individuals because they were the wrong political party or the wrong political persuasion, when organizations started disinviting people because they weren't politically correct, the people did nothing. There was no cost to these businesses for doing it. When people have had their homes mobbed, when people have been doxxed, there was no consequence. And since we were not faithful to protect the rights of people in small things, there's no reason we should expect they won't do big things.
Right. Well, you notice when the president was taken off Facebook, Twitter, all that was canceled. All of his accounts were closed. There was a mass exodus from Twitter over to Parler. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Parler starts growing by leaps and bounds.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have Amazon Web Services yank the carpet out from under them and stop it. So there were going to be consequences to Twitter, but it seems like the big tech companies are watching each other's back, and they have the same agenda. It's to squelch the what they call right wing, maybe conspiracy theorists or just people that have a right tilting view of things. We're going to eliminate and stop that voice, right. And so far they're doing it, and we haven't been able to combat it.
So understand that there's a couple things to understand in that process. What Amazon did violated, as I understand it, violated their contract with Parler. So they were being sued. Parler said, no, we're going to sue you. The contract requires 30 days notice before you shut us down. You gave us less than 30 hours. But then what happened? You have federal court saying, nah, we're not going to put an injunction because we don't think you're going to win the case. Right? But again, what has Amazon suffered? What did Twitter, we talk about a mass exodus. Really? How many people stopped working on, or stopped posting to Twitter?
And one day it was 1 million people from what I was following. And
right? And how many users does Twitter have?
Oh, millions and millions.
Facebook has over 1 billion accounts. 1 million people stop posting, that's a rounding error. And how many people continue to stop? Now, what you see is you're right, you're seeing a concerted effort for people to not communicate a message they don't want. That's fine. But the business practice, and this has been warning for years, is that this cancel culture, political correctness, cancel culture, deplatforming has been building for years, many, many, many years, 8, 10 years. And we've done nothing about it. And now it gets dropped on our foot. And the vast majority of the American people are still doing nothing about it. They still go to Facebook. And here's the part that I really don't understand. There is ample evidence that what's being promoted on Facebook is a lie. Media Research Council commissioned a study, and I don't have the exact numbers. I'm going to guess at them, try to remember them. They asked Biden supporters if they had seen the news that Biden's son was potentially involved in financial shenanigans.
Right.
And some absurd, like 15% of them said, no, we had no idea. We'd never seen that. So they asked him, well, if you had seen that, would you have still voted for him? And it was like 30% of them says, no, we wouldn't have voted for him.
There was a large number of people. I saw those statistics.
It turned out to be 6% of the total Biden vote said we wouldn't have voted for him if we had known that these charges were out there. And that would have been enough to actually change the election. So you have Facebook, Twitter, Google. They lie to you.
Oh, yeah.
Why do we listen to them?
Well, I don't know, but we're going to post this on Facebook and just...
And for all we know, you're going to get shut down.
Mike, I dare you to play this.
So I'll tell you what, I will make you a deal right here, right now. I will take this video, I will post it on my site.
Okay.
Right? So if Facebook goes, you can always point it over to my
Okay,
site.
all right.
By the way, I'm on Rumble. I was
Rumble.
on Parler before it was shut down.
Right.
I'm on Telegram. My answer is I'll put it on everybody I want. But it's Facebook and Twitter have the power they do because people listen to them without thinking about what they're reading. They never check and analyze. You know, Reagan used to say, trust but verify.
Yeah.
They trust, they never verify.
Well, what about our future, Paul? What do we do? I don't know what we can do as individuals. I think we have to gather as individuals and create a large crowd that just wants to be heard. But what do we do? What is this freedom of speech going to look like 10 years from now?
Well, Santayana said, those who refuse to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Look up the Chinese Cultural Revolution. We are in the American version of the Chinese Cultural Revolution. Almost everything from people being paraded around as idiots, speech being squelched, books being not being allowed to be published or burned. It's all happening. What happened under Mao Zedong is happening in America today. The question is, what can the American people do? The simple answer is refuse to participate. If Facebook is lying to you, ignore them. Don't pay attention to them. There are other methods of communication. I'm setting up my own site where people can find others who are interested in the Constitution and read and study and research together. Because I can't trust Facebook, Twitter. I can't trust if I put an app together. I can't trust that Apple will put it on the Apple Store. I can't trust that they'll put it on the Google Play. I can't trust others. I have to be in control. I've actually redesigned my entire back end so that I am as in control as possible because I can't trust any of these others anymore.
Right.
So when someone says, you can't say that, and say it.
You know what? I was just thinking about this today. 10 years ago, before Facebook got as big as it is today, there were just message boards, private message boards you could go to. We might have to go back to that. We'll just all start messaging. I mean, Shelbyville now has the capacity to put out a chat room, a live chat room, or a message board right now, and I just haven't done it. But
yep, right now my live streams go to my website and to YouTube. My videos are on my website, on YouTube, on Rumble. Put them in multiple places. But the idea is, you're right. That's kind of what I'm setting up for Constitution scholars is this idea of, I have a question. Let me find a group of people that are also interested and let's discuss this. Let me ask a question. Let me answer someone else's question. Let's figure out what we're going to do. What do we do? How do we ignore Facebook and Twitter? Let's not let other people control our lives. Let's be free and independent citizens. Let's be in control of our own lives and require them to earn the opportunity to come and speak to us.
Well, I guess the big obstacle that we have as humans right now and where we are is our addiction to social media. I mean, right now we are addicted to social media. I'm speaking for myself here. I mean, I want to see what's going on. I don't trust the news media, so I check out Facebook, check my news stream out, see what people are talking about, follow links that they post. But I do that instead of watching television. So I'm addicted to it. We've got to break that addiction. And I think most people are.
I think the most important addiction we have to break is the addiction to accepting information without challenging it.
Right.
Right? So you made an important point. So I go to Facebook and I see what everybody's talking about, and then I follow the links and I read for myself.
Right.
That's the part that the American people have gotten too lazy to do.
Yeah.
Just because someone said it, trust me, I spend days arguing with people. They'll say, well, the Constitution says such and such. And I'm like, well, where's your proof? Well, it just says it. Where? And they don't. I was having a conversation with a gentleman today via email, or via comments actually, saying, you say I haven't done my research because my conclusion is different from yours. Where's your research? Where's your evidence? Where's your proof? If you have proof, if you have evidence, I'll consider it. Maybe I am wrong. We've forgotten that capacity. We've forgotten that if I want to tell you what you can say, that means you get to tell me what I can say. We've lost that love for rights and liberty that says, I have to, if you love rights, if you love freedom, that means you have to protect the other person's ability to exercise it.
Right.
And we are too lazy, we're too cowardly, we are no longer the land of the free because America is no longer the home of the brave.
I believe you're right, Paul. Well, appreciate you answering these questions for us, and I know we'll have more about this as things develop. But I guess we can just encourage one another to fight for our freedom.
Please check out the website, Constitution Study and ConstitutionScholars.com. Please find a group in your area. There are several of them. They're all over the country that will read and study and learn for themselves.
And buy the book,
That would help
The
too.
Constitution Study, Paul Engel. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.
I hope.
Thanks for watching, guys.